Hi everybody, it's Heather from Heather's Fabulous Dog Training. Today I want to talk to you about how to handle all this craziness that's happening when we're out with our pets. This week I was out with a client's dog and I had probably a 5 or 6 year old running ahead of the parents, hands flinging, screaming, hollering, coming at 2 small dogs that I take care of. I immediately grabbed them and pulled them behind me. The mother never said anything for quite a while. And I knew that these little dogs, especially being approached that way, with hands flinging and coming at them hot and yelling, that the kid would get bit because this is very inappropriate behavior. But it's becoming more and more commonplace, and it's very, very frustrating. We're seeing a lot of entitlement with people, which is very unacceptable. My dog's in public. If I don't want you to pet them, you don't need to pet them. I used to be pretty cool about certain greets as long as people greeted properly. But after several horrible incidents, either in public with my own personal dogs, I'm getting to where I'm just telling people no. I hate doing that. And I get a lot of attitude, but it's worth it because you are your dog's advocate. So keep that in mind. You are always your dog's advocate in everything that you do. And it's okay to say no. So I'm constantly seeing videos of people that have service dogs, that people coming in and trying to get pictures and coming in and trying to get hugs and kisses. And that dog is on duty and to take care of that person, and they cannot do that when they're being distracted by people that cannot take no for an answer. I've seen them say, please back up, please get your kid back, please. We shouldn't have to be so rude and invasive when it comes to people's pets. The problem is we have in our society, we've become entitled, but also the other problem is we think true socialization is my dog meets everybody, greets everybody. This becomes a big problem because you become very invaluable to your dogs. And what happens is they get so excited by all the attention and all of the pets and all of it that when they get censored to where they don't even care when they're in public. In fact, I'm getting ready to change my socialization class because people, even though the rules say that, even though I've explained it, we don't do greets because socialization is simple as your dogs having a structured walk with another dog in the area and they never even meet. A lot of bad things can happen on and off leash when other dogs meet, and also when people that are not very knowledgeable animals come and approach. So a couple years ago I had a class and I had somebody show up with their big dog, and it wasn't on a leash, it wasn't on a collar, nothing. And I probably should have asked the person to leave. And they came in, they let go of their dog, let the dog out of the car. The dog ran up to my car in my dog's face, and now he's been dealing with reactivity ever since. And so these little things that we think are no big deal, it becomes a very big deal in the dog's world. Same thing with in public. I've had so many people, even though I've asked them, please don't pet their head, please don't do this, please don't, I have special needs dogs. Let them see you coming, they're deaf, or go slow, they can't see well, and people just disregard it and do what they want. And what happens is you end up having dogs with issues. So I have 4 special needs rescue dogs, and they're great. But those little interactions make a huge deal. And that's why I'm anti-dog parks unless it's run by a trainer. Unless there's trainers in there working with the dogs, everybody knows canine body language, and they're doing behavior evals, I disagree with it. The same thing with dog parks. You just throw your dogs in with a bunch of hyper dogs. A lot of them aren't neutered or spayed. In an area where a lot of people don't clean up, you're going to have issues. So my whole point in this video is not to complain. It's to make you aware of your surroundings. When you see a dog, you need to ask if you can pet them. But you also need to listen to the owner and how that they want their dog approached. Every dog is different. Many dogs don't want to be pet over the head. That's a dominant thing. And many people come in hot and they're already putting their hands out. Think about if you were in public and someone was coming up putting their hands out at you. And I've said this a million times, and I'll keep saying it until somebody listens. If you walked into Walmart tomorrow and the greeter grabbed you and hugged you and was touching all over you and messing with your hair and touching you, you would not like it. I don't care if you're a huggy person, you would feel, like your space is being invaded. And that's what we're doing to dogs. And so we're seeing a lot of behaviors coming from these dogs because we have pushed them into too much. I am all about teaching dogs confidence and teaching them to be secure. But if you force them in the wrong way to do things, you're going to have a fearful, anxious, reactive dog. Okay? So if you have a shy dog and you're going to drag them and make them meet every single person or every single dog, that is going to escalate that behavior and you're going to have a lot of serious issues. So please keep that in mind. I'm not trying to ruin anybody's fun. I'm the same way. I see a dog, I got to put my hands on them. I'm a little different in the fact that I can see canine body language. So I'm always going to stand completely still, usually the side of them, and not make eye contact and just let them smell me. No hands reaching, no talking, just let them do their thing. And then I can tell from there if they want to be petted. So one thing that I do and I do recommend is not putting your hand up to their face, but teaching them the touch command. The touch command is very simple. We use it a lot for service dog training for dogs to turn lights on and off, or even maybe to ring the puppy bells, is touch. I don't care if they use their paw or their hand, but you put your hand out, which I put it in front of me with the dog clear back, and let the dog come to me. And if they touch my hand after they've sniffed me down real good, then I will pet them. I will not pet them on the head. And if I do, it's because I know canine body language. I typically will not pet them that way because it's very invasive for them. So I'm so sick of everybody saying if your dog isn't this, your dog isn't that, they need to stay home. Okay? I had my dog in the Labor Day parade years ago, and somebody came up behind him and startled him with a stroller because they got excited to see the dogs, and someone said, "Leave your dog at home." Come on, people. Okay? I have a client that has a very shy dog that didn't get socialized, and so her collar says shy and nervous. Please ask the pet, please respect, and people say leave her home. Would you leave home a kid that has special needs? So why should we leave our dogs home? Okay, reactive dogs cannot, and shy dogs should not be forced to be at home and make that problem worse because they never ever go in public. Okay, they have a right to a life too, and so we need to start respecting people as they have their dogs in public. I'm getting to where I don't even like to go in public with my dogs anymore. And that's a sad thing because that's always been fun, adventurous thing. But I keep trying to go to parks and I love to be around people, don't get me wrong. But I'm getting to where I like to just go somewhere where we won't be bothered and do our thing and go home. Because if you get bombarded by people everywhere you go, when you take your dogs everywhere like I like to, then even the dogs get to the point that they're like, oh, here we go again. My Zeke, who's deaf, has always loved greets and all that, and now he's starting to get in, well, excuse my French, but resting bitch face now when we go in public, because he's like, oh, people are going to bother me. He just wants to enjoy his walk. He wants to enjoy riding on a cart. He just wants to do his thing and be with his people and have fun and not get bombarded all the time. So please keep these things in mind, that when you take a dog and greet them face to face on leash, if you're there too long, it can cause a problem. You can have a dog that, they're going to be a fight because, maybe one puts his head over the other one's back of his neck, whatever. But you can have a lot of issues from this. So my solution to you is just be as polite as you can be, but tell people no. If you don't want them to do it, or if your dog has an issue and they want to cop a fit, that's on them. That's their problem. Destiny has a lot easier way of just saying no thank you and walking away, and I struggle because I like pets and I really don't care, but I also am not going to go over something if my dog doesn't want to. And I can tell now when we're in public with certain dogs of mine if they want petted and if they don't. And if they don't, I just say, hey, no. Lincoln, my dog Lincoln has some visual impairment, and I tried to introduce him a couple weeks ago to somebody. Somebody was so sweet at Menards, and they came up and they said, hey, can I pet your dog? I'm like, not this one, but you can pet this one. And then all of a sudden he came at him really fast. I mean, like a rattlesnake. His hand just flew at his face really fast. And Lincoln did this small little low growl because it startled him. He didn't try to bite, nothing like that. It was just a warning saying, hey, please, dude, back up. So I went over everything again, gave him another shot, and guess what? He did the same thing. And I'm not going to risk a dog biting to protect itself because I didn't do my job. So I'm asking you to do the same. Just if you have a dog and you don't want petted and people keep coming in, put them behind your back, walk away, do whatever you have to do to protect your dog. We're getting more and more dogs that are insecure and reactive because we think as soon as they're a certain age, we're going to throw them into daycare and we're going to throw them into the to the dog park. And what happens is 90% of the time they're going to learn all the bad behaviors of everybody else. And and it's really honestly, I think it's because we have false narratives in our head of what socialization is. And usually it's wrong. And two, not to be rude, but we're getting to where we are so busy in our society that we want somebody else to wear down our dog for us. So we'll just dump them off on here, let somebody else do it, pay them the money. It's worth it to us. But I'm telling you, it's going to cost you thousands of dollars if it's done wrong and things don't go well. If there is a fight or there is a dog that confronts that dog, it's not going to be worth it. Plus, you're giving up all that precious time to really get close and have that bond with your dog where they respect you and do what you want. So, I see a lot of dogs that were like, go, 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 go. We're trying to wear them out to the point that we're making them just adrenaline addicts. I mean, it's almost like we're putting them, like we're giving them energy drinks because we're making them more and more hyper and all of that to wear them out. But unfortunately, we're building up where they almost have a tolerance to it so they can go further and further and further in their walks. And they, I'll hear people say, oh, well, my dog, is bitey at night, so we'll play ball for 5 hours straight. No. The day that you can't do that, that dog is tearing up your house. And that dog it's just as important that dog learns to be calm and be in a place command and just chill as it is for them to have that physical activity. And it doesn't always have to be physical. Our dogs were meant to forage for food. I'm not saying throw them out in the yard and have them go look for food, but make it a little bit harder than just eating out of a bowl. Use a snuffle mat, use those treat puzzles, and give them that mental stimulation that wears them down physically, that wears them down mentally at the same time, and gives them something. Think about it. 24 hours a day, they're sitting there 90% of the time waiting for you to come home, which is fine, but give them what they need. You know what I'm saying? Give them the little bit here and there to help them do that. And training doesn't have to be, like I tell my clients, it doesn't have to be something where you sit there for hours or an hour every night and practice over and over and over. Do 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there, and then make it part of your lifestyle so that it is doable for you. For example, I used to have dogs that would run over my feet every time we'd go outside. I had purple toes from them running over the top of it. Finally, having 4 dogs, I'm like, okay, everybody's going to sit before the door opens. Always had one that would say, I ain't sitting. And everybody would be looking at the dog like, you better sit, dude. We want to go out. And that dog wouldn't sit. And I would just wait. I'd just wait them out until they would sit. So we're seeing more and more of just basic behaviors that people can't control the dog. And so therefore we're seeing more and more incidents in public of things that are happening between dogs, dog and people, because our dogs have no impulse control. And without impulse control, major problems arise. So it's just about teaching them manners, teaching them you're the boss. If we just coddle them and love them and all of that, that's great. But if there's no rules and there's no boundaries and there's no structure, then you have chaos. I don't care if it's a kid and I don't care if it's a dog. It's just the way it is. 90% of people do not get that unicorn dog, that 1 in a million dog that comes and never needs training, never needs anything. And like I've said in the past, 99% of what the dogs are doing wrong, we have unintentionally taught them. We have reinforced it. They jumped, they were cute, we pet them. They'll jump more and more. We're walking them, they're dragging me down the street. The more I follow behind them, the more they're going to pull, the more they're going to do. The more people you greet and meet, let them meet. And meet inappropriately, jumping and acting crazy. Oh, I don't care if they jump. You do care, because eventually they're going to see your grandma and they're going to knock grandma down. So we have to teach them these little basic things, just like we would a kid, so that they can thrive and be better. So my big thing is, my advice is, if you're going to go in public, come up with rules and boundaries for yourself and your dog. And don't let anybody pass them, no matter how much crap they give you. People are getting rude and crude. I had an incident before I got sick last year. We were remodeling the house. We were out shopping at the home improvement store. And a guy that has always been wonderful greeting my dog decided to tease him. Well, he's deaf, and he likes when me and my best friend are both around, because we're roommates. We work in my business together, all of that. And she had left to go to the bathroom, so he was all upset looking for her. Deaf dogs can deal with separation anxiety, so I just told him leave him alone. Well, he kept coming up and kept coming up. And then all of a sudden he was jumping and jerking and putting his hand in his face and jumping back. And, eventually the dog got so upset, we finally had to say, you need to leave. You need to walk away and quit teasing him. Because he was getting to where he was, getting more and more upset. And the guy just kept doing it. And finally, Destiny came back and she said, get away from my dog and don't come back. And, because then my dog's making noises and people are thinking, oh, he's aggressive. No, he's not aggressive. A person won't respect a dog's boundaries or the people. And therefore, we have issues. So the biggest thing I can say is step in front of that dog. Walk away, leave, whatever you have to do. It shouldn't be that way. But as a society, like I said, we become entitled and we think we can do whatever we want, whenever we want. Our opinion is better than everybody else's, and we don't respect anybody else's. I get it as a dog trainer. Okay, I'm a professional. I went to school for it. I have worked with people learning stuff. I've paid other trainers to follow them around and learn more. I've went to shadow programs, and people will sit and try to argue with me about something they saw on a reality dog training show or on YouTube. Yeah, there's a lot of great free stuff out there, but there's a lot of things that people don't know everything behind it. This is not their profession. I don't tell my plumber what tools to use, but people will tell a trainer to. I don't tell them how to fix my pipes or my roof or any of that, because I don't have the knowledge for that. So it is offensive when people come at me with that, and that's just how our society has become. And I just have to say, hey, people that are open-minded and want to listen and want to know more about a certain tool or about a certain way of training, I'm happy to sit and take the time and explain and all of that. And the rest, you just have to let it go, because if not, it's just going to be another battle. So it's the same thing. I hope I don't come off as I'm rattling here, but it's becoming a serious situation between the lack of structure and the lack of boundaries that we have in our society when it pertains to animals. I hear all the time, oh, you're supposed to greet with your hand out and you're supposed to walk up, put your hand in their face. No, no, no. Every trainer on the internet is saying, please don't greet the dogs that way. And people continue to do it. And we're teaching kids to do the same thing, which is going to in turn cause a fight or a bite. And these videos that I see online where people are letting the people jump on the kid or jump on the dog and tease the dog and take their food away and all this crap. This is not funny. We shouldn't be filming this. We should be correcting this, because the kids have to have boundaries and rules, and so does the dog. You know, I have people nowadays that come to me and say, hey, get my dog used to me sticking my hand in their food or messing with them when they're sleeping. I will not do that. That is, we have to respect their boundaries too. So let's do better, people. So let's get together and do better. And just know that you don't have to let anybody touch your dog in public, especially if they won't respect what you want from them. It's okay to say no, you know. So that's where I'm at, and I just wanted to tell you guys that. Just keep that in mind when you're doing structure, when you're out there walking your dog. You don't want them to meet every single dog and every single person, and it's not even safe to do that. Some dogs are tolerant of other dogs. Some dogs love other dogs. Some dogs, you know, are aggressive. Some dogs are fearful. We need to keep these things in mind when we approach. I had my old dog out a couple weeks ago, and I ran into a client, and he immediately jumped out and stuck his hand in her face and scared the crap out of her. She's 13 years old. She cannot see well. And so we just want to be more respectful. So you can look at my dog all day long, admire them, but it doesn't mean you have to touch them, and especially not for socialization. So hope this was helpful. I feel like I've just rambled about all kinds of topics, but I just feel like we need to go back to the basics of having some manners. It's not healthy for us. It's not healthy for the dogs. And if you've worked really hard on training, and like I have with my dogs, and then you take them in public and people do crazy, stupid things that set you back, it's very frustrating. I'm getting to where I'm trying to decide. I want to be able to do therapy dog testing. And I'm hesitant now because you have to have a dog that does therapy work, and Zeke's getting to where he doesn't want it because we've been bombarded so bad in public. You know, people see me training with him and stuff like that, so we get bombarded. And we may have to just let that license go because he's getting to where he's like, I like it, I don't like it, it doesn't matter. And I'm not going to force him to do it to further what I'm doing in my career or my business, because what they need comes first, and that's just the way it is. And I'm sorry if that offends you, but we can do better. So I hope you guys have a fabulous day. And if you stuck with me through this long video, I appreciate it. But yeah, something has got to change if we want, you know, have happy, healthy dogs. We got to stop forcing them in and putting them in these bad situations, because it's only making things worse. So thank you guys. Talk to you later. Bye.